everybody, it's Chris Shubert with CNSG, back with a new supplier spotlight, this time on VergX. I am joined today by Chris Chirico of VergX. So Chris, here's the first question. Who is VergX?
Yeah, Chris, thanks again for the partnership, having me today on the call. We're really phenomenally thrilled to be part of it. So VergX, first and foremost, we're a leading provider of SD-WAN, SD security services, focused on delivering that not only to tier 2, tier 3 service providers and managed service providers, but ultimately to businesses looking to bring to market and leverage the SD-WAN technologies in an effective and efficient manner. So we like to think of ourselves as both a sales enablement shop and tier 2, tier 3 support structure for any of the different audiences that I just said.
Awesome. So obviously VergX is based on Versa. Versa is a platform that several other providers have used over the last several years. Why would someone want to buy Versa from VergX?
Yeah, so to understand VergX, it really is to understand Versa as well. So Versa is what we like to say, one of the tier 1 best-in-class SD-WAN software providers out there. Their core audience was the tier 1 space. So the Comcast, CenturyLinks, KDDI, global service providers, and they're best in breed. And part of the Versa strategy was delivering more than just SD-WAN. So the founders of Versa were the Apervas. They were Juniper Router MX series developers. So there's a core routing feature functionality inside of it. So Versa's philosophy was, how do we add more value to the different space, whether it's a service provider or it's a business? And the value there was they believed that you couldn't talk about SD-WAN with somehow stepping into a security discussion, whether that was the implementation phase where you're talking with your customers and the sales engineers are understanding what's in the market or inside of the network. So is it a router? Is it a firewall? Is there a switch? But ultimately, is your SD-WAN secure? So secure SD-WAN. So Versa from the very beginning integrated tightly inside of their software security. So whether it's DOS, next-gen firewall, unified threat management with IDS, IPS, their value was, how do we simplify the network? And they delivered it first and foremost to tier 1 service providers. So folks that had the capital, the resources, the time to market. That becomes a little bit daunting if you're a SOHO or an SMB type customer, or even a global enterprise that's managing Fortinet or Palo Alto security assets. And what VergX did is we said, how do we take that fire hose and simplify it for the different audiences? And what we did is we built out that turnkey solution for those different audiences that I said there. So whether it's a service provider or an MSP, or you're a business customer that says, look, I want to simplify my network. I want to have a best-in-class SD-WAN technology, but you know what? I want to leverage the technical acumen, the business operations, and that enablement from a VergX. And that's where we became that delivery structure to really bring that Versa solution effectively to the different audiences. So it's a really good relationship that's been there, whether you're a service provider, an end customer, or even an IT partner that says, I want to partner with an organization that knows how to get it delivered. And that's really what we focus on and pride ourselves on it.
Great messaging. Going along with that, obviously, folks that are looking for Versa, key for VergX. Folks that are looking for security, key for VergX. What is the overall sweet spot for you guys, though, beyond those two elements?
Yeah, so security is a big market. So is SD-WAN. I started out in the voice space, hosted PBX, UCAS, which now is Unified Communication as a Service, and now there's an as a service for everything. Mm-hmm. I look at SD-WAN as kind of what UCAS was to VoIP about 10 years ago. Everybody was talking about it. Not sure how many people were really taking it, but everybody had a different flavor, and you had your partner community trying to figure out where did that technology fit into which audience. So when you think about security, right, it really gets into what does a customer have and when can we add that value to them. So we'd love to go in there and deploy out all the bells and whistles that we have there, because for a partner, obviously it increases ARPU, and that's a really good value prop for the partner community. For a customer, you simplify the network. From a service provider, being able to add that value and have a single pane of glass to manage the different layers, it's really great. But a lot of customers have security assets deployed. So one of the value props for us in leveraging that Versa technology is we have the ability to sell them the core need in that day one scenario. And that could be, let's just integrate remote offices into an overall topology, right? And understanding that maybe they're backhauling traffic into a data center, right? Maybe they want to leave that there, but now they want to add security down at the branch. So for us, it's not really you have to take a rip replace solution. But what we try to understand is what's the customer's goal from a roadmap standpoint? Is it from a cost structure standpoint? Do they want to maybe leverage our security in day 60, day 90? And that's what we really like to pitch to our customers is where you start with us doesn't necessarily mean where you finish with us. And when we talk about security, we talk about it in a holistic approach, which is, do you have security? If yes, great. How are you using it? And is there a way that we can integrate in there so that you're having a more effective network? And if that means later on we're doing the full stack of SD-WAN, next-gen firewall, unified threat management, or even at times integrating with MSSP so that they can do a SOC and a real vulnerability type thing, no doubt we want to do that. And that's how we think of ourselves as a value technology partner.
That's a heck of a pitch, because you're looking at having a proven product in the Versa platform, but you're offering it in what is without a doubt the most flexible amount of configurations possible. Whereas, a lot of times when folks are buying Versa through a reseller of some type, they're kind of locked down as to what they can buy or into some sort of package. Versa really allows you a lot of flexibility. Or VergX, I should say, offers you a lot of flexibility there.
Well, Versa too, and that's part of what we've seen in the market, which is you have this beautiful Swiss Army knife, but a Swiss Army knife is not what an SMB customer is, right? Or an SMB customer may not want. And then you look at the enterprise and you go, okay, well, that Swiss Army knife, what do they actually use, right? Is it the Phillips head? Do they need the scissor? Do they need a filing tool, right? So when we think about Versa, right, we've not only have all of that bells and whistles, but we've tried to productize it and offer it in a way that is simple to understand, because at the end of the day, if a customer or an IT partner that we're partnering with doesn't understand the technology, then you don't see the value. And if you don't see the value, you don't want to pay for it. And nobody wants to pay for something they're not using. And that's the way that we've looked at the technology of saying, we have all this capability, but depending on what the customer needs, we're going to effectively deliver it and we can grow into it. So again, we don't ever want our customer or our partners to feel like they're drinking from a fire hose. And that's really what we've done a good job about doing. And we always try to refine our processes, procedures so that we can continue to deliver it.
Well, now comes my favorite part on the supplier spotlights. Time to strut your stuff, Chris. What do you do better than anybody else?
Yeah, so that's a tough conversation to have because everybody will pitch something else. I like to stick to things that we can quantitate or have a quantitative type discussion about, because a lot of people go, well, it's our support, right? Right. Everybody touts support, or it's your network. And look, if people don't have good support and they don't have a good network, then customers are going to get that. So I like to think there's a baseline that we're all operating with. Where we've really prided ourselves on, and I don't know if this is we're better, we're here, but I'll tell you from a company standpoint where we've prided is the delivery side of it. Because whether it's working with a partner, it's working with a service provider, you have one opportunity. It's hard to sell something. It's even harder to sell something again and get your reputation back. So where we focused on is delivering effectively the solution and making sure that we're good at it. So we're 100% focused on this. This is what we do. And we've made sure that from the quote to cash, we've made sure that not only do we learn from things, because we definitely have our battle wounds, right? It's not like one day we woke up and said, hey, we're experts at this, right? I mean, there's taken some time here, but what we're good at, where we differentiate is this is what we do, and we know what we do well, and we execute on it, and that's what we like to think of ourselves as is delivery.
Love it.
Yep.
Well, for CNSG family, if you liked what you hear on this podcast here today, please reach out to your CNSG channel manager or the friendly folks over at VergX to learn how to make them a part of your SD-WAN strategy. Chris, thanks for being on the Supplier Spotlight, and welcome to the family.
Thank you. It's our pleasure. Thank you.